Hey folks, welcome back to Fluent English Journey. My name's Tom, and today I want to dive into a subject that so many learners struggle with: grammar. Now, maybe grammar feels like a puzzle to you. Maybe you've memorized rules but freeze up the moment you try to use them in a real conversation. Maybe you've even wondered, why does all that grammar disappear the second I open my mouth? If that sounds familiar, trust me, you're not alone. In this episode, I want to show you a fresh way to think about grammar. A way that makes it feel simple, natural, and even relaxing. I'll walk you through techniques and strategies that will help you learn grammar without all the stress. And just so you know, I always speak slowly and clearly here, using simple, natural English. That way you can relax, understand every idea, and enjoy the process of learning. Our little family, English Unleashed, has already reached listeners on every continent, in over 100 countries. From India, Morocco, and Vietnam all the way to Poland, Australia, Sudan, Brazil, and so many more. Wherever you're tuning in from today, you're part of this family, and I'm honestly so glad you're here with me. So let's start with the basics. What exactly is grammar? At its core, grammar is the system behind a language. It's the set of rules that tells us how words fit together. Grammar guides us to put words in the right order. When you speak English, it tells you which words to choose and how to arrange them. But grammar isn't only about rules on a page. It's also about patterns. And what's a pattern? It's something you see or hear repeating again and again. The more English you listen to, the more those patterns jump out at you. You start noticing them. You begin paying attention. And little by little, your brain starts to feel what sounds right, even if you don't remember the exact rule behind it. That's why hearing English often is so powerful. The patterns become clearer the more you surround yourself with them. But let's be real for a second. For most learners, grammar feels like the hardest part of English. And that's okay. If grammar feels tough to you, you're not the only one. People all over the world share the same frustration. Grammar can feel confusing, can bring stress. Sometimes it even feels impossible. But here's the truth, my friend. It isn't your fault. The way grammar is usually taught is what makes it feel so heavy. Most of us are told to memorize rules, read from textbooks, fill notebooks with notes, underline examples, highlight sentences, and cram the names of all the tenses into our heads. So you try. You really do. You make lists. You read and reread. You practice with worksheets. But then comes the real test, speaking. And suddenly, nothing seems to work. You freeze. You get nervous. You forget the things you studied. You hesitate over which word is right. You want to talk, but grammar blocks the road. Your head is full, but your mouth goes silent. And that, my friend, is one of the most frustrating feelings in the world. So why does this keep happening? The main reason is that most grammar study moves way too fast and throws way too much at you at once. You're hit with endless rules. Rules that come with exceptions. Rules that don't always make sense. And somehow you're expected to hold it all in your memory. But language is more than memory. It's about rhythm. It's about flow. It's about doing, not just knowing. Grammar gets taught like information, but in reality, it's a skill. Let me give you an example. Grammar is a lot like learning how to drive a car. Sure, you can read a book about engines. You can watch a video on steering. You can even memorize every road sign in the world. But none of that means you can actually drive. To learn driving, you've got to sit in the car, grip the wheel, and practice again and again. Grammar works the same way. You might know the rule in your head. You might even understand it perfectly. But when it's time to use it in conversation, you stall. You second-guess yourself. You hesitate. Why? Because your brain knows the rule, but your mouth hasn't practiced it. Your ears haven't heard it enough. Your body hasn't felt the rhythm yet. So when you try to speak, your mind gets caught up thinking, wait, is this the present perfect? Do I need has or have? What's the third form again? And in that split second, the flow is gone. Your confidence takes a hit. That's the real reason grammar feels so hard. It's because most people try to learn it with their head alone. But real learning happens when your brain, your ears, your mouth, and even your feelings all connect. That takes time. That takes repetition. That takes patience. And you know what? That's perfectly fine. Here's something important I want you to remember. You don't have to master every single rule. You don't need perfect grammar. You don't need to rush. What you do need is a slower pace, a step-by-step approach, calm, steady way of learning. Because grammar isn't a race, it's a journey. The slower you go, the more you notice. The more you practice, the more your confidence grows. So now that we've talked about why grammar feels so difficult, let's turn to how we can make it easier. And the key is simple: learn grammar slowly. Not fast, not in giant chunks, just slowly, step by step. But here's what many learners do instead. They try to cram everything at once. Monday, it's the present tense. Tuesday, it's the past perfect. Wednesday, it's the future continuous. Thursday, it's conditionals. Before long, it's too much. They feel like they're climbing an endless mountain. The more they climb, the more exhausted and lost they become. And honestly, that's not the best way forward. So what should you do instead? Here's a better path. Take smaller steps. Focus on one point at a time. Think of grammar like building a house. You can't put up a whole house in one day. You can't build the walls, windows, doors, and roof all at once. First, you clear the ground. Then you place the bricks one by one. Then you raise the walls. After that, you add the roof. And finally, you decorate. Each stage takes time. Each stage needs care. Try to rush it and the house will collapse and your energy will collapse too. It works the same way with grammar. Start small. Choose one simple grammar point. Just one. Maybe how to use there is and there are. Maybe how to form basic questions. Maybe how to say something in the past. Pick just one. Stick with it. Breathe it in. Play with it. Live with it for a few days. While you're doing that, there are 3 things I want you to try. First, notice it. Listen to podcasts. English Unleashed is a good start. Watch a video. Read something simple. And pay attention to how that grammar point shows up in real English. Second, practice it. Write short sentences with it. Say those sentences out loud. Even talk to yourself, it's more than okay. The goal is to make that grammar part of your own voice. Third, repeat it. The more you repeat, the more natural it feels. The more you use it, the less you'll have to stop and think. And don't be afraid of mistakes. Mistakes are part of the road, not the end of it. What matters isn't how fast you go, but whether your brain starts linking grammar to meaning, to real life, to actual conversations. That connection only comes when you slow down. When you go slow, you go deep. You don't just know the grammar in your head. You start using it with ease, without stress, without overthinking. When you slow down, the pressure lifts. You stop feeling like you're behind. You stop feeling like you're failing. Instead, you feel calm. You feel steady. You start moving forward at your own pace. And when that happens, something amazing takes place. Grammar actually sticks. You don't need to flip through your notes anymore. You don't need to ask, what was that rule again? You just speak and the grammar is there. Not because you memorized it, but because you lived with it. You heard it. You said it. You repeated it slowly, naturally, until it became yours. So remember this. You don't need to study every grammar rule at once. You don't need to rush. You don't need to sound perfect. You just need to take one small step at a time. One day, one little point. Because slow learning is smart learning. The stronger, it lasts longer, and it feels a whole lot better. And here's another gift from slow learning. It brings joy. You start noticing details. You start seeing progress. You begin to feel like a real English speaker, not just a student worried about a test. Alright, now let's shift into something really important. How to learn grammar naturally, without stress, without pressure, without fear. So what does naturally even mean? It means learning grammar the same way we pick up language in real life. Not just from books, not just from rules, but from hearing it, feeling it, and using it. Think about it for a moment. How do babies learn a language? They don't study grammar books. They don't sit in classrooms. They don't memorize verb tenses. They simply listen a lot. They hear voices, stories, songs, short sentences repeated again and again. And little by little, their brains start to catch the patterns. They figure out what things mean. They try speaking. They make mistakes. They repeat. And after a while, they speak with grammar, not because they studied it, but because they felt it. That's the power of natural learning. Now, of course, as adults, we learn in different ways. We can use books. We can read explanations. We can ask questions. And that's useful. It really is. But even so, we can still learn grammar in a natural, human way. The best learning happens when grammar is part of real language. Language that has meaning, emotion, and life. Just like this podcast. Let me give you an example. When you hear someone say, "I've just finished my work," you're not only learning grammar. You're hearing how grammar expresses something real. It tells you something about the moment. You hear the tense. You catch the structure. But most importantly, you feel the meaning. That's natural learning. You're not memorizing a rule, you're connecting grammar to a real-life situation. You begin to notice grammar. You start to see it everywhere, even if no one points it out to you. So let me share a few small but powerful steps you can try. First, listen every single day. Even just 10 minutes. A podcast, a YouTube video, a short story, anything with clear, real English. Don't stress if you don't understand every word. Your brain is listening. It's gathering the grammar, like seeds waiting to grow. Second, notice what you hear. Do you catch the same sentences repeating? For example, in this podcast, I repeat certain phrases on purpose. Do you notice them? That's grammar in motion. Start paying attention. That's the first step toward using it yourself. Third, repeat short sentences. Say them out loud, even if it's just to yourself. Fourth, connect grammar to real life. Don't trap it in books or rules. Grammar isn't about being perfect. It's about expressing something real. Your thoughts, your feelings, your life. And fifth, don't fear mistakes. In natural learning, mistakes are not just normal, they're necessary. Every mistake is proof that you're trying. Every mistake is a step forward. Now, let's touch on something that so many learners wrestle with: confidence. Maybe you know some grammar. Maybe you've studied it. Maybe you even understand it pretty well. But when it's time to speak, nerves take over. You hesitate. You start questioning yourself. Is this right? Am I making a mistake? What if I sound wrong? And sometimes you choose silence. Not because you don't know English, but because you don't feel confident. And let me tell you, that's incredibly common. It happens to almost everyone. If it's happened to you, I want you to hear this clearly. You are not alone. And here's the truth. Confidence does not require perfection. You don't have to be flawless to feel strong. What you need is to keep going. Real confidence comes from embracing imperfection, from trying again and again. So let me give you a few ideas that really help. First, speak anyway. Don't wait until you feel ready. The truth is, you may never feel fully ready. So just speak. Say what you want to say. Use the grammar you already know, even if it's simple. Second, celebrate the small wins. Did you say a sentence in the past tense? Awesome. Did you ask a correct question? That's progress. Don't wait for big milestones. Those small steps are real growth. Third, make mistakes proudly. Yes, proudly. Mistakes prove that you're trying. Mistakes prove that you're learning. Fourth, focus on communication, not perfection. Grammar matters, of course, but communication matters more. If people understand you, you're already succeeding. The goal of language is connection, not perfection. And here's another tip: use grammar that feels natural to you. Don't force yourself into complicated structures just to sound advanced. Stick with the grammar that feels comfortable. The grammar you can use easily. That's how real fluency and real confidence are built. And that, my friend, brings us to the end of today's episode. Thank you so much for being here with me. This is English Unleashed, and I'm Tom. Keep learning, keep speaking, and most importantly, keep believing in yourself. Bye for now. Take care.